Hello, and thank you for joining. Today's class is on being empathic, life as an empath, beat the struggle. Now, this topic is very much in depth in general. I just said two contradictory phrases, but that's okay.
It's all right, no big deal.
I'm not going to be able to cover everything in this class, but there will be another class that will be more in depth. And it's going to be a two-part series. One is good. The first class will be pointed towards adults. The second part will be pointed towards children. And whoever purchased this class today will be able to, you automatically have sign up for the next class. So you're not going to miss out on anything. Okay, so I'm going to be discussing first what is an empath. I'm going according to a book that I have, which is called the Empath Survival Guide. And I'm also going to be discussing my experience as an empath, and we're going to be going over your experiences also as an empath. What have you experienced up until now? What questions you guys might have, and so forth and so on. So Dr. Judith Orloff, she's actually a psychologist, and she's an intuitive, and her journey is actually very interesting. Now, being an empath, basically, another word for it is a highly sensitive person. Most people would consider it being over emotional, overthinking, over anything. Any person that feels an emotion deeper than what it is an empath. Any person that evaluates a situation in depth, like over analyzing a situation or in-depth analyzing a situation, has empathic abilities. Now, the things that I wanted to go over specifically with what is an empath, we have a very unique neurological system. It's very different than the average Joe. And what do I mean that we have a different neurological system? Over here in the book, Empath Survival Guide, it shows that high sensitivity affects approximately 20% of the population, though the degree of one's sensitivity can vary. And empaths have often been labeled as overly sensitive or told to go get a thicker skin. So basically this shows that people that are oversensitive, you know, it covers 20% of the population. So 20% of us are already known empaths, and we are not aware that we're empaths. Some people don't realize that being an empath is a very special and unique gift, because one of the main things that empaths are capable of doing is being able to read between the lines and see behind the mask.
So what's the difference between a snowflake and an empath? That's like the thing that's going on.
What do you consider a snowflake?
What?
What do you consider a snowflake?
Really?
Yeah, really.
You know, these people who take everything offensively, like online, you know, like they have to hashtag everything, or they're playing, a lot of the times they're playing the victim, like the victim role. What?
I understand. Okay, I get it.
You know, that's the first thing that came to my mind. I was biting my tongue for the first 20 seconds, and then you asked me, okay.
Okay, so what's the difference between a snowflake and an empath? In all honesty, there's not much of a difference. There's different levels of, I wouldn't say empathy, because empathy is very different than being empathic, but it has many, many, many different levels. You know, there are empaths, like let's say, I'll give you an example, my son, right? If you're going through a hard time and my son sees you crying, he's going to cry right along with you, and not just that, be your lawyer. Okay?
I know what you're, yeah.
And they're empaths, you know, that are like my daughter. You know, she sees that you're going through pain. She puts her hand on your shoulder. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. She feels your pain. She manages to put the block up, you know, doesn't really mesh or intertwine with your energy. Now, in today's generation, yeah, there's a lot of empathic people, and a lot of them do not have boundaries, don't know how to place the proper boundaries, and a lot of it seems out of line, like, as you would say, the snowflakes.
Mm-hmm.
No, I get it. I totally get it, like completely, 100%. You know, I see that whenever there's like political disagreements and the amount of people getting offended over something so
Stupid.
yeah. and I just like, I don't even comment on that. I just scroll on, you know, don't even get involved, you know, not.
I literally have a phrase, I can't deal with stupid. So to me, like, if I see stuff like that, I literally go, are we serious? Click, and I'm just like, I can't deal with stupid today. Like, I can't. I felt, it's just, that's how I deal with that. Like,
there are people that don't know how to deal with it. They just have to deal with stupid because they don't have the tools to differentiate, you know, and
I can't. Maybe because I worked for the government for like 10 years or whatever. Maybe that's the case, you know. Like I was in it, and I had
the issue.
I just can't.
The issue with today's generation, and especially today's empathic generation, is that they don't know how to differentiate between an opinion and an emotion. They're meshing the two, and they should not even be related. So, Jen's all cracking up right now.
That's what I dealt with for 10 years. Are you kidding me? Stupid. Although we need a really good laugh.
Yeah,
to start seeing what they're doing.
That's for sure. You know, so you know, they lack the boundaries, they lack the tools, and in my humble opinion, it's getting to the point where I'm debating whether to call it empathic or like a mental disability right now. When it comes to some people.
Some people could legitimately have a mental disability. But I also want to sit there and say that, you know, where all this can be coming from is also the fact that, you know, like so many years ago, we didn't have social media. Now that we have social media, everybody and their mother seems to want to be whatever on there.
Yeah.
So, hello. I say just take it all with a grain of salt, because that's pretty much all you can do.
All right, so getting back to what is an empath. So we have a different neurological system. Our brain works very differently. Scientifically, our brain works differently than the average Joe, and they had a lot of studies done on this. Let me find the okay. Okay, over here.
Do you think there was such a high percentage of empaths in the population today versus 200 years ago?
I think today it's more accepted than it was 200 years ago.
Okay.
And today's day and age, we have more tools to understand what's going on. Like, for example, schizophrenics, right?
Yeah.
In my humble opinion, I think a lot of people are misdiagnosed as schizophrenic when in all reality, they are highly gifted people that are capable of connecting with different realms.
Yeah, and again, when they're misdiagnosed, it's just, you know, they do that so the healthcare firms.
Of course. But that's something different. Okay, so I'm going to go over right now the general types of empaths. and I'm going to be explaining them. And then I'm going to go over a quick questionnaire. So the general type of empaths, you know, we have the physical empaths, which is being able to specifically tune in to other people's physical symptoms. And we tend to absorb them into our body. You can also become energized by someone's sense of well-being. For example, a person could sit next to a person that has a massive migraine or a massive headache. If you're an empath and you don't know your boundaries, don't have your boundaries up,
Yeah.
right after you're going to be leaving that person's side, that headache is going to be transferred from them to you, or continued on from then to you, because you absorbed their headache. Okay, so those are the physical empaths, the one that could actually tune into other people's physical symptoms and pain. We have emotional empaths, which is picking up on other people's emotions, and you become a sponge for their feelings, both happy and sad. And with this, it could be very difficult because many people don't have the proper tools to distinguish between someone else's emotion and your emotion. You know, and the empath would take person A's emotion as their own. And especially if this happens at a very young age with children, they adapt to that. And they have the misconception that they have this feeling regarding a specific situation, even though they've never experienced it. So how does all this come about? Because they absorbed someone else's feelings as their own. So with emotional empaths, you know, that's like a real hard struggle for many, many, many people. And throughout the course that I'll be giving, B'ezrat Hashem, I will be going a lot more in depth, giving a lot more tools, and also more meditation techniques to help balance this out. Then we have.
So how do you know you're picking up and absorbing someone else's emotions?
You start talking about a subject, right? Your emotion, you feel perfectly calm, content. And throughout the conversation, you're starting to pick up on this person's anger or hurt regarding the topic. And if you pay attention, if you're a sponge, you're going to start feeling that hurt and that anger that's radiating out of that person you're talking to. And then at the end of the conversation, you're going to be feeling hurt and angry.
Okay.
But if your shields are up or whatever.
Yeah, if you're a shield, you're not.
You'll still show empathy when you're talking, but
Yeah.
after it's all done, you'll just be like, okay.
Yeah. So that's the emotional empath. So with intuitive empaths, this has many subtopics with intuitive empaths. It's experiencing extraordinary perception, such as heightened intuition, telepathy, messages and dreams, animal and plant communication, as well as contact with the other side. The following includes the different types and how they function. You have the telepathic empath, which receives intuitive information about others in present time. There's the precognitive empaths, which have premonitions about the future while either awake or dreaming. The dream empaths, which they are avid dreamers. They also are capable of doing astral projection and can receive intuitive information from dreams that help others and guide them in their own lives. There's mediumship empaths, which can access spirits on the other side. There's plant empaths, which they can feel the needs of plants and connect with their essence. Earth empaths, which are attuned to changes in the planet, the solar system, and the weather, etc. And animal empaths, which can tune into animals and communicate with them. With every topic and subtopic of different types of empaths, there's two main, I guess you could say, columns. Okay? you got the shield, and then you have the sponge.
Yeah.
In most cases, people start off as sponges until they become shields. Now, shields, what that is basically is that you know your boundary, you have your boundaries up, and even though you're aware of your gifts, you learn to differentiate and separate between what belongs to you and what doesn't belong to you, and how you don't let it affect you. When sponges, on the other hand, absorb, and to the point even they don't know what to do with all the information and all the emotions that they're absorbing. And that could either result in someone going completely either off derech, going nuts, whatever, or going the absolute extreme, which is finding the journey, finding the way, learning how to balance yourself out, figuring out what's going on, and actually getting direction on the proper path on dealing with your emotions and your gifts.
And all those different impact things that you just talked about,
Mhm.
it is possible for somebody to have more than one intuitive thingamabobble.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could have one and you can have all.
I was just making sure because I pinpointed which ones I made.
And another thing, with my own experience with empaths and empathic people, I'm not going to say all, but I would say most tend to go to extremes.
What do you mean?
Like, meaning there's love, there's hate,
There's
no gray. There's no
black
like and
white.
don't like. It's either love or hate.
It's straight black and white.
It's straight up black and white.
Like, we literally have the hardest time seeing a gray area.
Yes.
I will literally sit here and talk to Becca all the time because I will come in and I will have my moments where it's just black and white because I literally cannot see the gray area.
Yeah.
I just can't. Yeah.
It's very hard to find the gray area when you're an empathic sponge. But when you start becoming a shield, you learn to find your gray area.
Okay.
I've become like a shield and I still have, like, I'm just special.
Okay. So how does someone become an empath? In most cases, you're born with it. In some cases, it could take a traumatic event to flip a switch in the brain that sends your, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm right now seeing like the brain waves and like the highway, what's it called?
Warp.
No,
What are you
like the
spiral? Hold on.
like your brain waves, like they go from like this, from right here to right here.
Dude, I'm even lost.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Miriam?
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know the
Yeah.
word.
Me too.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Like, you got smacked in the head too many times, you know, there's some brain scrambling. Yes, I get what you mean. Yeah.
You're going to orbit. You're going to another world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, it could take a traumatic event, you know, for something to switch in the brain, and your the freeways, the highways in your brain, whatever it's called.
Transmitters.
Yeah.
Neurotransmitters.
Thank you. Neurotransmitters. Thank you.
Got it.
They start functioning very differently on a much higher frequency. So a lot of people that are empathic, they are responsive and sensitive to light, smells, touch, movement, temperature, and sound. Me, all of those disorient me.
Wait, light,
Smells,
smells,
touch,
touch,
movement,
movement,
temperature,
temperature.
and sound.
That gave me a headache.
We-
Well, I need a vacation when we just put all those in. I do the same thing. I'm the same way. Good God.
Wait, hold up. Light,
Okay.
wait, sound, touch, movement, light.
Yeah.
Temperature.
That's
Light, smells,
yeah.
touch,
Mm-hmm.
movement,
Mm-hmm.
temperature, and sound.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Sound affects me big time. If I'm not the one controlling the volume, like if I'm gonna be sitting here at the dining room table and then all of a sudden my husband turns on the speaker full blast, my head's just like, whoa, like.
No. I have certain sounds I cannot touch. A movement like ship, like sea movement. I can't deal with. Temperature, I have been sensitive in the past. Smells, yeah, I mean, I own about 40 perfumes, so that's a
Oh my God.
no, but like certain sounds, it's worse than nails on a scratch board for me, blackboard for me.
Oh God, I can't. I can't.
My head going, oh, it's like how.
But it's funny because that sound doesn't bother me, but I have certain other sounds. No,
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm on. I'm tempted.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that affect highly sensitive people. For example, I cannot be around special effects.
How do you watch TV?
Well, TV doesn't really have a lot of special effects.
Okay, how do you watch a superhero movie?
I don't.
So like, I can't do strobes.
I also can't do strobes.
I can't do the disco balls either.
Yeah, I mean,
And
disco balls are not as bad as strobe lights for me.
What's
But when
strobe?
it comes to special effect, the last time I saw a movie with massive special effects, like in a movie theater, it was Matrix #3.
okay.
And I ended up in the hospital. I literally collapsed and fainted, hit my head on a rock, blacked out, and I ended up in the hospital.
See, I get dizzy, so I just turn my eyes away, or like I close it or whatever. I try like to just block it out and go, okay, it's going away really soon. But it causes me like to
Yeah.
get dizzy and
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
I can't do it, but I don't know, maybe because I put, I don't know.
So,
You get that with patterns?
I don't know. It says over here, highly insensitive children come from mothers and fathers with the same traits. Also, in addition, childhood neglect or abuse can also affect sensitivity levels for adults. For example, with early trauma or emotional or physical abuse, or raised by alcoholic, depressed, or narcissistic parents. Adults that were not born empathic become empathic due to those circumstances.
Maybe that's
Be-
what it's.
because they're in constant fight or flight. Okay, so let's go on. Another thing that empaths are very, very, very sensitive to is EMFs, electromagnetic fields.
I heard of it, don't know what it is.
TVs,
It's like TVs,
cell
radios,
phone.
cell phones.
Your electronic
Have you
devices.
ever noticed I don't put my phone to my ear? My phone is always on speaker.
It's basically, electronic devices. So like, let's say you wear an Apple Watch or whatever, like you'll feel little shocks coming from
No.
it on your skin. That's EMFs.
His toy is stuck in the box, which you were giving me.
I know you the toy.
So yeah, I'm not, I mean, I'm sensitive to EMF, but not to the point where it can debilitate me. A lot of these sensitivities that empathic people have can be very debilitating.
It gives me electric shocks from wearing it.
Yeah. So it says over here, what areas of life does empathy affect? It could affect your health.
In what way?
Because in what way? For the fact that we absorb other people's emotions, other people's stresses, as our own, it creates for us health problems.
But what if
For
you
example, stomach issues result from stress.
wouldn't be much. But if you put up your boundary, then and say you have a boundary up or whatever, would it still cause health issues?
No, if you have your boundaries up, it would not. If anything, it would probably help you reverse your health issues.
Okay.
You know, just like with me and my journey. I'm pretty sure that for the 30 plus years that I've been a sponge, I mean, hell, you know, doctor thinks I have MS. I don't have nothing, dude.
Yet the doctors have no idea what I have, yet I'm showing everything in the mother.
So in other words, it's all in your head. It's all in our heads. So, yeah, it affects your health. It also affects addictions. A lot of empathic people have very specific addictions, whether if it's to alcohol, drugs, food, sex, shopping, or other behaviors. And they have these addictions in order to numb their sensitivity or to kind of, I guess you could say, to change focus. Instead of focusing on the things that are going wrong in your life, you're going to the addiction to kind of help you self-soothe yourself.
Numb the pain.
What question you have?
I'm sorry.
How did you know?
What? No, because I had that face on. No, I mean, I am an addict. I do have an addict behavior. Certain things that I've had, or like drugs and alcohol. Oh, the red signs were full blown there. But like, I've came to the points like, you are not. I treat myself like an alcoholic. I'm not a full blown alcoholic, but if I'm going to drink, I can't say on camera, but but it's not going to end up good. If I I know with drugs, nothing went past pot, but I know that if I would have ever gone through past pot, I will probably be dead, because I know myself.
I hear you.
But I don't. Yeah, I mean,
used
like,
to have an addiction to alcohol too.
what?
I used to have an addiction to alcohol as well.
I think once an addict, always an addict.
No,
I don't agree.
no.
I
Total
totally
BS.
totally-
BS.
I totally disagree with that one, because I used to be an addict myself, and I can literally say that the struggle is there, but it's another mind over matter. It's
I'm 14
literally
years clean from alcohol.
psychological.
Did AA at 22. I'm addicted to cigarettes, but at least being addicted to cigarettes, in my opinion, is a lot better than being addicted to alcohol. I know you will disagree, but that's okay. You can disagree.
Hey,
I don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree. That's
Right,
okay.
I used to smoke. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I used to do a lot of stuff. Okay. I mean, I never was an alcoholic, but I drank in high school, but I never got drunk. Okay. My tea was spent drinking and smoking pot. But hey, all right, and I smoked cigarettes. All right. But I also was one that quit cold turkey. I don't know how many times, to the point where now, as bad as I crave one, when it gets super stressful or whatever, I talk myself out of it literally all the time. And that's where I see they actually said it's psychological.
Yeah. So another area of life that empathy affects is relationships, love, and sex. Again, knowing the boundaries, knowing to differentiate between your emotions and someone else's emotions. Technically, empathic people have a tendency to be attracted to the narcissists. Yeah. Just because of the type of giving nature that we have, and it shows here. I'll explain more in my in-depth course how it goes together, the empaths and narcissists. It says over here it's going to be discussed in chapters 4 and 5. It also parenting, work, and extraordinary perceptual abilities. So I'm going to go over with a very quick self-assessment of are you an empath and to calculate your results. Miriam, with you, you could just write yes or no with every question that I ask. And then
You want me to write it down?
You don't have to write down the questions.
No, yes or no. You want me to write down yes or no?
If you want, it's basically the self-assessment if you are an empath, and it says if mostly yes, mostly no, how many yes, then you're this kind of an empath. If you answered yes to X amount of questions, then you're this kind of an empath, etc., etc.
All right.
Okay. All right. Have I ever been labeled overly sensitive, shy, or introverted?
Labeled, I mean, I've been called that.
Yeah,
multiple.
same thing.
Yeah.
Do I frequently get overwhelmed or anxious?
Overwhelmed sometimes. It depends. Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Do arguments and yelling make me ill?
It depends how extreme it is and how pissed I get.
Okay. Do I often feel like I don't fit in?
Yeah. But I don't, I've accepted that.
Okay, so it's like even if it's just like a general, write down the
Yeah.
yes or no's, and then I'm gonna tell you what level empath you are. Do crowds drain me, and do I need alone time to revive myself?
Do crowds drain me? The only time I can, no. I mean, in the summertime when I had a lot of me time, so I was able to focus on myself, there were, I went to Times Square and everything was just on overload with me.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Do I need me time? Yeah.
Okay. Do noise, odors, or nonstop talkers overwhelm me?
No.
Do I have
I
chemical sensitivities or low tolerance for scratchy clothes?
What?
Do I have chemical sensitivities or low tolerance for scratchy clothes?
I don't wear wool because apparently it's scratchy, but that was when I was a kid. I don't remember now. I know I can't wear turtlenecks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sensory thing.
Okay.
That color looks good.
So if the answer is no, okay. Do I prefer taking my own car to places so that I can leave early if I need to?
Of course. I need to find parking. I gotta go. 30 minutes. What do you mean? I don't know. There's no parking. You go home.
That's perfect. Priceless.
Yeah, of course. I love my car.
So the other question is, do I overeat to cope with stress?
Yes.
Okay. Write it down. Am I afraid of becoming suffocated by intimate relationships?
No, I'm the suffocator.
Well, just right up said, I'm the suffocator. Whoa. Well, at least we know.
And you just face palm yourself. Okay. No.
Next question. Do I startle easily?
No.
Do I react strongly to caffeine or medications?
React strongly how?
Caffeine, no, because I'm so used to caffeine. Medications, I have. Are you talking about like painkillers, or are you talking about like bipolar?
I think more of pain meds.
I think medications in general, but
Yeah.
definitely like pain meds.
So I don't really take pain meds because I have that addict persona, so I try to stay away from it.
Okay.
So I don't know, I'm gonna put that down as a no.
Okay. Do I have a low threshold for pain? With me, it's the exact opposite. I have high tolerance.
My doctor said it too. Even though.
No, I'm gonna put that down for no. I'm a 50-50. I don't know, I'm 50-50. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, so maybe if you want, for the 50-50s, maybe you could do a 0.5, because I know you had another one that was a 0.5, so putting those two together will make us 1 point.
Can you make like when we say like high pain tolerance, are we talking like it takes a lot for us to like cry?
Wait, so wait a second.
Yeah.
I think so.
Like a broken bone kind of thing.
Okay, next.
I don't know, it doesn't describe if it's emotional or physical pain. It just says pain.
I have a question mark on that one.
Okay. Do I tend to socially isolate?
Okay.
It depends. No, I'm saying it depends with whom.
In general, like what's the most that usually happens? Do you tend to, mesh with everybody else, or do you tend to just go and do your own thing?
I'm so split. I'm like a split persona here.
So do a 0.5.
No, I'll be honest with you. With my family, I'm the most antisocial person you will ever meet.
Okay, so let's take the family part out. Okay, let's look at it more as like people, like friends and acquaintances or whatever, not family. How are you in those situations? Are you
Work? I'm very social. And everything else, I'm a homebody. I really am. Like, yeah, I think this is 2 out of 3 is gearing towards the no.
Okay.
So,
All right. So next question is, do I absorb other people's stress, emotions, and symptoms?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not so sure. You know what? I'm gonna put down as a yes, because I'm remembering certain conversations I've had, and I'm gonna be put. Yeah, I'm gonna put down as a yes.
Okay.
I have chicken.
But I don't.
Because I also used to absorb people's stress, emotions, and symptoms. Now I feel it. I don't absorb it.
So the thing is, I don't realize consciously, and I'm not aware of it consciously. But well, yeah.
Okay. Next, am I overwhelmed by multitasking? And do I prefer to do one thing at a time?
One thing at a time. So yeah, that's a yes.
So you get overwhelmed by multitasking. So that would be a yes for you. Do I replenish myself in nature? Do you feel that nature recharges you?
I'm sorry. If you would have told me 5 years ago, I'm like, there's a tree. Why am I looking at a tree? I mean, I'm from Brooklyn. I get it. It's like, it's a rare species, but like, I don't know. I don't mind it now. I don't. I mean, if I see a picture, I don't know. I'm from Brooklyn. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
you know what I do sometimes with my son when I go with him for walks around the neighborhood? He goes, Mom, that's a beautiful tree. Can I give it a hug? Go ahead.
Oh. No, I'm gonna put down a no.
Yeah, my both of my kids, they feel replenished with nature around like trees and grass and plants and outdoors. They feel very just like calm and content.
That's only me when it's snowing outside. Give me a what? I like the snow.
You're not the only one that likes snow.
I'm not like that, whatever, but like I'll go outside, walk the dog, whatever, I'm okay. But I notice more calm when it's winter.
Wait a second.
What?
Wait a second. It's a yes for me. Sorry.
Did I just say something that strikes a thing for her?
Probably.
That's pretty good.
No, I like to go to Miami specifically for the beaches there. I don't like New York City beaches, but I'm very relaxed and I get very recharged when it comes to Miami beaches.
Okay, yeah, that's nature.
And
It doesn't have to be like trees or forest or it could also be like being on top of a plateau in the middle of a desert and just looking at the sunrise, just hitting all that sand with absolutely nothing. Could be beaches, water, whatever.
Like some like Bob Marley around. Okay. Yes, it's a yes. It's a yes.
All right. So next question is, do I need a long time to recuperate after being with difficult people or energy vampires?
Yeah, I before I've started to tap into this, I realized I needed like a couple of days or even a night or so to recuperate from specific family members.
Yeah. So that would be a yes for you.
Yeah.
All right. And do I feel better in small cities or the country rather than large cities?
Yo, I'm from Brooklyn. I don't get out.
So what would you rather? Would you rather live in a small city or would you rather live in country rather than small cities, like larger cities?
Oh my God.
We'll play Would You Rather.
Is there like a neither option? Like you live in a large city, but can you live in like a rural area, kind of like what we're living in?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Like, because in large cities, there's rural areas. So you're still in a city. You're just like on the outskirts of that city. It's not farmland, but it's more rural. Maybe just
Then I would consider small. Whatever you guys want to put. Okay. I already did this assessment, so it's for you guys.
Cities or town. You know what I told my coworker in class when I showed them a picture of like the mountains? I said I would like to be there by myself. And then she looked at me like I'm crazy. By yourself? Because she's gonna say The Shining. I said you know what? I'm gonna go probably more rural because as long as there's Wi-Fi, I think I'm okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go rural. Yeah.
Okay. And the last question for this assessment is, do I prefer one-on-one interactions in small groups or large gatherings?
Smaller groups. That's a
Smaller
yes.
groups. Okay, so that's going to be a yes. All right, now what I'm going to want you guys to do is calculate your yeses. Then do a 0.5 for a question mark.
No, because I didn't understand.
Okay, which one?
Well, the one that we just talked about, the cities, I'm still trying to figure that one out. But dude, there was one.
Oh.
Numbers.
I have 14.5 for yes, 5.5 for no.
Okay.
So that's like 2/3 at least.
The pain one. When they say low threshold for pain, that's when we're like, are we talking physical or are we talking mental? But I think I'm the type that has the high threshold. So if I have a high threshold, then that's a no, right?
Right.
Okay, that one I remember. And then after that, multitasking.
Okay.
I multitask, but I can't overly multitask.
You can't multitask for a long period of time.
Yeah. So I didn't know how to answer that one.
So do a 0.5 because it's kind of like a half and half.
Okay.
Can I get my book back, please?
No.
Just to check my book.
Small cities. Wait. Oh yeah. So if we do good in small cities or that's a yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's a yes one. Okay.
And then count your yeses.
I don't think you want me to.
Okay. So Miriam, how many did you get?
14.5 for yes, 5.5 for no.
So so if you answered yes to 11 to 15 questions, you have strong empath tendencies. So you're almost on the borderline of 15. If you answered yes to more than 15 questions, you are a full-blown empath.
I'm borderline.
You're
You see,
borderline.
I don't fit here and I don't fit there because I got the 0.5. Yeah.
So pretty much, I'm just gonna say I got 17.
So you're a full-blown empath.
Cause I'm not even just 0.5. We're just gonna kick it up to a yes, whatever. So once you said that, I was like, dude, I'm like,
Okay.
everything you said, sensitivity is this. It's that, yes.
All
I
right.
felt like I was all yes.
Okay. So one of the last things I'm going to go over, which is kind of like the aspect of beating the struggle of being an empath, even though there's many, I wouldn't call them disadvantages, I'll call them challenges, because every person is capable of overcoming them. The common challenges of being an empath is being overstimulated, absorbing stress and negativity of others, feeling things intensely, experiencing emotional and social hangovers, feeling isolated and lonely, experiencing emotional burnout, coping with increased sensitivity to light, smell, taste, touch, temperature, and sound, expressing needs in an intimate relationships. Now, those are usually considered the common challenges. Now, one of the biggest advantages of being an empath is that we're able to view and see the world in a different light. And that light usually is the brighter light than what everybody else sees. And we usually tend to become an example and a leader for many others.
So you got leadership skills.
Yeah, we have massive leadership skills. We have the power to, I guess you could say, influence, in a good way. We have the capabilities of telling people that are in complete darkness, guiding them how they can find their light. Our own energy turns up to be the light for many people that are in darkness. And because of how we see things, we give a lot of other people hope that, I wouldn't say change is on, that change is there, And that's a very huge benefit. It's like, we're not the average Joe. No, we're special. We're unique. We're like up there. We vibrate higher than everybody else.
I'm good.
So let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to go over. What? Okay. Yeah, the rest of the stuff that's in this book, and I'm going to be also gathering information from the other books. I'm going to be doing this whole course that includes also specific techniques and meditations and guidance. So I hope you enjoyed Is there another empaths, emotions, and health? Hold on one second. Okay, no, this is going to be for the course. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this small introductory class to Life of an Empath, Beat the Struggle. So now you know there is hope to living life in today's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not cruel. There's another word for it.
Senseless.
Yeah. You know, senseless. Yeah, there's tools, you know, for us to be able to go about life and to handle our everyday stresses and to stop being sponges and start being shields and being the light for others. So I really hope you enjoyed this this little tiny class of Life of an Empath, Beat the Struggle. I hope you benefited it from it. Do you have any other questions, Miriam?
Are you going to go more into the intuitive empaths?
Yeah, in the course. Because that's going to have probably a whole class in itself.
Okay. Oh, that's the one that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If you had a specific question, I don't mind answering it.
No. I'm actually more curious. I'm curious about that.
Okay. So how intuitiveness and empathic people, how it like combines and connects?
No, just them in general.
Okay.
Can
All
you
right,
be
no
one
problem.
without the other?
Can what?
Can you be one without the other?
No,
Or just usually hand in hand?
it's hand in hand.
They're always,
It's intertwined.
it's always
A person is not capable of being intuitive if he does not have that strong empathic nature.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
in order to be highly intuitive, you have to learn to disconnect from yourself and tune into your higher self. And people that are not empathic cannot disconnect from themselves.
Okay.
But empathic people can. All right.
Okay. All right. No, I'm good.
All right. Awesome. So I hope you enjoyed. And God willing, if you have any questions, feel free to text me. Okay.